Morning, everyone. Before we start, I want everyone to relax. XPath Axis looks scary only because the names sounds technical, but once you understand the logic, XPath Axes are actually very simple. So today's session is extremely important for Selenium automation. If you understand XPath Axis properly, you will never struggle with dynamic elements. So do not memorize the XPaths. Instead, understand the movement. So whichever is like that is whether it is up, down, left, right in the DOM. Okay. So let me ask you one question. So how many times have you seen this situation? Element has no ID, class name is dynamic, absolute XPath is breaking, and this is where XPath Axis come into picture. So XPath Axis help us locate elements relative to the other known element. So in real automation, we first find one stable element and from there we navigate to the required element using XPath Axis. So XPath Axis are nothing but the directions. So they tell Selenium how to move inside the DOM. So whether to move up, whether to move down, whether to move sideways, or whether to move across the page. So let me first list all the major XPath accesses. So here are some like accesses are like parent, child, following sibling, preceding sibling, ancestor, descendant, following, preceding, and a self axis. Okay. So now out of this, the most practical and mostly used in day-to-day automation are parent, child, following sibling, preceding sibling, ancestor, and descendant. So in real Selenium projects, 90% of the access usage come from this only, these six particular XPath access. So before we even talk about the XPath access, there is a golden rule you must remember. XPath access are never used first. The very first thing we do in automation is we find a strong locator. Okay, so we do not start with the parent axis, we do not start with the sibling axis, we always start by finding one stable element on the page. Okay, so this is the example we have on the practice page which we have developed for this particular Selenium series. Okay, so just right click and inspect on this page, and then I will try to locate it. So it's already located here for the grandparent. Okay, so if you go inside this div tag, you will see something like strong grandparent, and then inside this you will see another div tag having class parent. Okay, and then if you go inside parent, then you see there is a child tag, not child tag, there is a child element having span tag. Okay, and then if you go one level up again on the parent, if you just minimize this or maybe collapse this, you will see another parent sibling 1, parent sibling 2, and parent sibling 3. Okay, you see these are highlighting in the on the UI, and right. So again, we do not start this with the parent axis, or we do not start it with the sibling axis. We always start finding one stable element on the page. So first we have to find out a strong locator. Okay, so what is strong locator? So it should be easy to identify, it's unique, and it does not change frequently. Okay, so definitely the examples for this are ID. If you have ID, definitely we should be going with ID. The stable name attribute, if you have such, we can go with that. Reliable unique text, so if you have that, we can definitely go with that. So these are some examples of strong locators. So whatever you feel is a strong locator and it's stable, we can go with that as a strong locator. Okay, so once we find that strong locator, we can lock our position in the DOM. So like if in our HTML structure, again as we discussed, we have a grandparent div, then inside that we have a parent div, and then inside that we have a child div. Okay, and then outside that, like at the level of parent, we have parent sibling 1, parent sibling 2, and parent sibling 3. Okay, so if you see all of this, we can clearly see the child tag have this child span have the ID as an attribute. Okay, so this seems to be our target element, that is our strong locator. Okay, so definitely, so we will locate this first. So again, now you know how to write the XPath, so we can simply use the span tag, and then we can use this ID, and this ID attribute value we can use. Okay, so just Control F, and then we can search with the span tag, and then here we can add, we can search with the ID attribute, and then add the ID attribute value. Okay, so now we are able to locate this child element. Okay, so all right, so let's start with the first XPath axis, that is the self axis. Okay, so self means the element itself. So now we have identified the locator, our strong locator. Okay, and we have written the uh, XPath for that, and we are successfully able to locate that particular strong element. Okay, so now if you want to use the self tag, the syntax is, we need to add one slash, and then self, and then colon colon, and then add the tag of the same element. Okay, so like for the this child element, we have this particular self tag, and not self tag, the span tag. So we can simply write slash self colon colon span. Okay, so in real Selenium automation, we don't use this self very often, but it helps us understand how access syntax works. So think of self as saying stay where you are. Okay, so this is how we write the self axis. Okay, so the another is, the second is the parent axis. Okay, so this is very important. So now if you see, now we are able to locate our first element here, right, which is our strong element. Now the parent axis, so the parent axis moves exactly one level up. Okay, so if you see the child element, and now if you want to go to the parent, we need to move exactly one level up, right? So from the child span, we are going to its immediate parent due. So please remember, parent means only one level up, not grandparent or not great grandparent. Okay, in Selenium, parent axis is heavily used when input field is inside div tag, a label and input are grouped together. Okay, so if you want to go to the parent tag, what we can do is, again I will simply remove this. So again, similar to self tag, we can add one slash, and then now we will add parent, and then colon colon, and now add the tag for parent. Okay, so now you see for parent the tag is div, so simply add div here, and now you see the parent got highlighted. So now we are successfully able to locate the parent element. Okay, so the next is the child axis. Okay, so now we move in the opposite direction. Okay, so now like from child we moved one level up, and now we will move one level down to locate the child axis. Again, like, consider this as a demonstration purpose. So if you have any real time example, definitely we can try these steps on that particular web page. Okay, but for now, this is just for demonstration purpose, so that's why I'm trying to give you different ways of writing XPath. Okay, and different ways of traversing through the DOM. Okay, so first we have find out the child element, that is our target element. Then we have moved one level up to the parent element, and now we will use the child axis, which will move one level down. Okay, so again, now if you have, like, if you can simply write it with the help of class and parent, if you simply write write a XPath with class parent and this div tag, definitely you can simply go down. But again, as this is just for demonstration purpose, and we are already at the parent now, we can simply add child here, and then again add span. Sorry, one colon I have missed. Okay, and now you see it has earlier selected the child, then we had moved to parent, and then we had moved to child again. Okay, so Very important rule, listen carefully, child axis will not select the grandchildren. Okay, so if the element is not direct child, this XPath will fail. Okay, so if the element is like is a direct child, then and then this will pass. Okay, so this is why child axis is very strict but very reliable. Okay, so this is how we can write the XPath axis, like XPath using XPath axis. Okay, so let's say for example, if you directly want to just ignore this strong locator, let's consider in your case the parent is a strong locator. Okay, let's assume now, and I will use this parent. Okay, so simply use parent here, and then there is a div tag. So I will write a XPath for this, again double slash, then div, and then now I will locate that element using class name, and then simply go with the parent. Now you see the parent is selected. Now if you want to move to the child that is one level down, and what you can do is you can again add one slash, then child, and then colon colon the child element tag, that is span here. So you see, in this way we can simply write the parent to child tag. Okay, next comes the ancestor axis. Okay, so for ancestor axis, again we will do is we will again go with the strong locator, so which is our id locator. So again go to the span and then id, and then I can simply add target element here because oh sorry, somewhere else. Okay, so again I will add span here, and then id, and then add target element, and then you see now you are able to locate the particular strong element, that is our child element. Okay, so ancestor moves multiple levels up. Okay, so ancestor axis is like a parent but more powerful. So from child element it can go to parent, grandparent, and any higher div. Okay, in Selenium, ancestor is very useful when DOM structure changes, depth is unpredictable. Okay, so let's say if I want to go to the ancestor, what I will do is I will go to ancestor here. I will simply use slash and then ancestor and then colon colon and then div, so ancestor tag. So now you see there are multiple occurrences here, right? So definitely there are different ancestors for this particular case, because we are going one level up, right? So like there are multiple ancestors and we are able to locate those with the help of this. Okay, so again if you want to add a specific ancestor, then you can add some attribute also. Okay, so out of this 5, let's say for example if we want to locate the specific grandparent, right? For us this is important. So if you want to locate this, what we can do is we can use this class attribute, or if you have again another stable attribute, definitely you can go with that instead of class. Okay, so I will just copy this, and then simply we can add the attribute here. Again I will add the red class, and then simply I can pass it here grandparent. And now you see we have selected the child element, then we have gone to the ancestor. And ancestor, because if you are using ancestor there are multiple ancestors, so if you want to specifically locate some ancestor, then definitely we can add some attribute, and then we can go to the grandparent. So this is how we traverse like from child to the grandparent. Similarly you can find out the parent, like specific parent here. Okay, and then from parent you can go to the grandparent. Okay, but again as a best practice, always we should move from the strongest locator. Okay, so the next is the descendant. Okay, so again descendant is the opposite of ancestor. Okay, so descendant moves downward at any level, and from the grandparent it selects children, grandchildren, all spans. So this is useful when we don't know exact nesting level but UI changes frequently. Okay, so these cases we can use descendant axis. So again now we are already at the grandparent, so again we will go with the same thing. Now if you see, like we are able to highlight, or we are able to successfully locate the grandparent. Now if you want to go to the descendant, so what you can do is you can simply add descendant here, descendant. Okay, and then again add colon colon, and now I will go to the child. You see, it's going to the direct child. Okay, so in this way we can write this descendant axis. Similarly, if you want to select the parent instead of child element, you can select the parent here. Okay, so like I will just give the parent div tag. Okay, so instead of span I will give parent div tag. So if you do that, you see there are three, or not three, there are four occurrences, so there are four parents here. So how, this is how we can go from a target element to ancestor to the parent. And again, like you can just play with this. Okay. Okay, so now we have understood how to traverse from child to parent, parent to grandparent, or child to grandparent. Okay, similarly, we have understood from how to traverse from grandparent to parent, grandparent to child, right? So now it comes like for siblings. So how we can traverse through the siblings? Okay, so what is siblings here? So if you see the parent, these parents, they are at the same level. Okay, and they share on the same parent here, so the grandparent, specific grandparent for them. Okay, so if you see this parent sibling, parent sibling, parent sibling, and this parent all have same grandparent here. Okay, so don't go with the name, but yeah, just check, this is the parent for all these parents. This seems confusing, but this is very straightforward. So if you simply like select this button, you see, and again like collapse this, and then you see that these parents are inside this grandparent. So grandparent is a parent of this all parents. Okay, so this is how we can relate this. So there are two ways. One is following sibling axis, and the second one is preceding sibling axis. Okay, so what we will do is we will go with the following sibling first, and then we will look into preceding siblings. Okay, so following sibling selects the element that share the same parent. Okay, which we have seen here, are at same level. So all the siblings are at same level. So you see the sibling 1, 2, 3, and this parent, they are at the same level, appear after the current element. So again, like if you want to find out the following sibling, definitely it will be it will be present after the current element. So if you want to go to the following let's say we are at parent sibling 2. So if you go one level down, not down, but to the following parent sibling, it will go to the parent sibling 3. Okay, so maybe you will be able to understand it. So and very important, following sibling never goes up or down, they are at the same level. Okay, so they traverse at the same level. So in our example, it selects all the parent sibling that come after the parent. Okay, so this axis is extremely common in dynamic list and tables. So now let's understand how we can locate it. Okay, so again, if you can use the same thing, I will use the target element here, and then you see the child element gets highlighted. Okay, and then you can go one level up. Okay, so here you can add the slash, and then you can add parent, and then colon colon, and then parent tag. Okay, that is a div tag. So you are at the parent level, and now if you want to go to the particular sibling, then what you can do is you can again add slash, and then go to the following, like following, this is the syntax, following sibling, and then again colon colon. And now again, so there are different like siblings are there, so you can add div, and then you will see there are three siblings for this particular, there are three occurrences, because the self is not uh, like uh, like we want to go to the following sibling, so the first parent have three siblings, right? So that's why it is showing three occurrences here, right? So based on this, you can navigate through the siblings also. Okay, so again, if you want to index this, you can do that definitely. So you can simply enclose this inside the parenthesis, and then again you can navigate or traverse to the particular indexes. So go to the second and go to the third. Okay, so this way it will work. So this is following sibling axis. Or if you directly have the parent axis here, like if you are not using the child, you can simply use this parent XPath and then go to the sibling. So let's take a look at that as well. Okay, so I will select the parent. It has a div tag. So instead of target element, I will simply go this, add a div tag here, and then I will use the class and then go to the parent. So I will automatically end up at the first parent. Okay, and then I can again use following sibling here, following sibling, and then I can add colon and then add the div tag, the tag for the siblings. Okay, let's say for example if this last has another tag, then definitely you can add that. Okay, so this way the siblings works. Again, if you want to index this, you can simply add the indexing, just add it inside the parentheses and then provide the index here and 3. Okay, and then if you want dynamic, always the last element, then you can simply add the last function here. It will give you the last sibling always. Okay, so this is how following sibling axis works, and we can write XPath using the following sibling axis. Okay, so now there is another axis, that is a preceding axis. Okay, so again for the preceding axis, what we can do is, so let's say if you want to go preceding, then definitely again we will go select the parent here. Okay, and then let's assume we are at the last tag here. Okay, let's assume we are at the last tag. So what we can do is, again we can add one slash. Okay, and then add preceding. Sorry, like I'm making some mistake in spelling. So preceding, okay, preceding sibling, yes, sibling, preceding sibling, and then again colon, and again I will add div tag. So now you see it is selecting the first 3 parents, okay, not the last one. So again if you want to index it, you can do that based on the indexing mechanism. So this is how we write the preceding sibling axis. Okay, and then we can simply use that while writing the XPath. Okay, so now we have 2 more axes, that is following and preceding. These are not mostly used, but if you want to, if you want it in some situation, they definitely help. Okay, so following axis is broader than following sibling. Okay, following sibling is at a lower level. Okay, and following axis is more broader than following sibling. So it selects all the nodes that appear after the current node in the DOM. Okay, so let's give it a try. So what I will do is, again I will keep the same here, like let's keep the parent here. Okay, so now I am at the parent. Sorry, okay, I need to remove this parenthesis. Okay, now you see the parent is getting highlighted. Okay, now if I use following sibling, not following sibling, just following span, and now you see all the span tags which are following the current node. Okay, so after this current element, whatever the tags are there with the span tag are getting highlighted. So because it is powerful, use it carefully in Selenium. Okay, because we are able to find out multiple elements with the following axis. Okay, so similarly we can use it for the preceding. Okay, so let's say, okay, what I will do is, I will just for simplicity, what I will do is I will use a following sibling here and colon, and then I will use a div tag. Okay, so now I am at the second parent sibling. Okay, so what I will do, again I will add this indexing and I will use the last one. Okay, just for the demonstration purpose. Okay, so now if you want to go preceding, right, so what you can do is, again add slash and then preceding, and then again colon colon. So again, you need to ensure that which element you want to go, right? So let's say if I add div tag, then you see all the div tag which are above this element, will get highlighted. So in this case we have 48 such elements. So this is about the preceding axis. Okay, so yeah, so let's summarize. XPath axis help us navigate the DOM relative to the known element. So we find out one known element and then we traverse with the help of this XPath axis relative to the particular known element. Okay, remember this pattern: parent or ancestor go up. Okay, for child and descendant go down. For following sibling and preceding sibling, which remains at same level, following preceding entire page. So if you use following, like all the elements with the corresponding tag selected after the current node will get selected, and it will be opposite for the preceding tag. Okay, so if you master XPath Axis, dynamic elements will never scare you again. So XPath Axis allow navigation in all directions of the DOM, making Selenium locators flexible, stable, and maintainable. So see you in the next lecture.